Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Eric Bird, here at StopStrugglingNow.com. And today, we're going to talk about prices going up for real estate, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't mean regular real estate, I'm talking about pre construction projects in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. That's right. And because of Larimar and Cruise on Land, you know what's happening also? Projects are going to have to compete and they're going to have to up their game. So look for that extra 18%, 10% coming from your projects because it's going down. And we're going to talk about it here. And welcome to Foci Optics. Check. Stop struggling now gear. Check. And please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. Now, let's get to it. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, please share the videos. That's so other people can find out that there's no credit check, no qualifying, no barriers to entry to get your real estate investments while the going is good, because prices are going up. We're going to talk about this tonight because people at Panorama Gardens, Panorama Park, guess what's happened? If you didn't find yourself with a lawyer and then put a cap on what they can charge you in your contract, then you're receiving a letter that's talking about 18% increase. What? Exactly, 18%. And I'm actually going to show a document if I can. I'll blur out what I need to, but if I can show it, I will. But 18%, ladies and gentlemen. So if you bought something for $100,000, it's now going to cost you $118,000. If you bought something for $122,000, it's going to cost you around $146,000. Before closing, they just sprung this information on you, and you guys already know I made a video about a live stream and a video talking about projects are going to have to upgrade. Well, the new revelation that everything's included for owners and guests at the Vista Cana project. Who do you think is going to pay for this badass country club sports complex that they're creating? It's coming out of somebody's pocket. You don't think the millionaires are going to foot the bill entirely, do you? Of course not. So let's get into this and a lot more. So I'm going to be going to the computer. You guys know how this goes. I'll see you there. Stay tuned. All right, welcome to the Stop Struggling Now YouTube channel page. Of course, we had to show this first before we get into how these places charge more. This is pre-construction, ladies and gentlemen. Traditionally with pre-construction, whatever you purchase the property at, they do not change the price. The developer, the builder, they say it's $300,000. It'll be built in 2 or 3 years. Then you pay the remainder of the balance in 2 or 3 years. In the last 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, they've started to put things into contracts. That means contracts that you would have. They decide that they're going to charge more. And you have to have an attorney and a lawyer for this. Oftentimes, I've mentioned this several times, and for all of us in the Punta Cana, Dominican Republic regions, you've heard me say you should have an attorney. Johan Confidante is one of the best attorneys in all of the DR, but his services are needed. And that means I don't even know if he's taking on new clients these days because, let's face it, when you're one of the best, that means you have to start charging more because you have more clients. Now, the point I'm trying to make here is you don't need a lawyer for this. When you are looking over your contract, make sure there is a cap What I mean by this, if you start reading through your contract and you see you're purchasing something for $200,000, and in paragraph 20, they have something like, well, if prices increase, inflation increases, or an inflation index increases, we can raise the price up to 10%, up to 15%, or maybe not even put a percentage on there at all, which now means you're at the mercy of the builder if they decide to raise prices on you, even under pre-construction. So, if you have an attorney or not, you need to say, hey, this thing says 10%. I don't agree with it. Will you change it to 5? Or this thing says 25%, like in the case of the beach. You might say, I can't deal with this. Will you change it? They say, no, you have to back out if you don't agree. Now, let's get into some of the things that actually has occurred. The beach I just mentioned, they have in their contracts, they changed them to where up to 25%. That's significant. The Panorama Lake, people have already received notices, I believe it was last year, 6% increase. This is in Vista Cana. Also in Vista Cana, the Wave, they also did something 10%. I don't remember if it was up to 10% in their contracts, but they've done a 10% increase. Now, the latest is Panorama Park, Panorama Garden. Now, notice I mentioned Panorama Lake. Panorama Lake was 6%. But Panorama Garden, Panorama Park, 18%, ladies and gentlemen. And some of you may be saying, well, what does that look like? This is what it looks like, ladies and gentlemen. They send you a letter in the mail. And they tell you, notice this is the 3rd of March. This is for a purchase price of roughly $123,000 roughly. All right. Now, this 18% represents well, in this case, it's going to represent $22,319.98 for everybody on podcast. So now the new price that you have to fund, less your 30% that you put in, $146,319.89. It's that simple how they do it, ladies and gentlemen. This is in Spanish. I crossed out names. I crossed out information. It does not really matter, but you can see here. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th paragraph down. 18% increase. That is significant. 123 to 146. That is equity that most people would have been earning. Now, Panorama before has been known to say, if you don't want to re-sign that contract, we will give your full monies back, or you need to sign this and change it to the new price. That is a thing that they have done. So it's not like you don't have a choice. It's better than no choice, I guess. But never fear, ladies and gentlemen. And one other thing that I wanted to show you was basically back here is, even in the United States, this is what's been happening. For instance, in Texas, canceled for convenience. North Texas family loses home after builder backs out without warning. So even in the United States, Texas, Florida, all over, you have to check your contracts once again to make sure that they can't back out without some penalties. Make sure they can't raise prices. This is a thing that's been happening all over the world. So now you have to double check, triple check your contract to make sure there's no loopholes. Now, I will give you an example. Larimar City, in their contract, it specifically states prices stay the same from what you purchased. There is no inflation index. There is no increase in price. Cruise on Land, they have something tied to the Dominican Republic inflation index, which I'm not really familiar with. So on theirs, they sit there and they'll say, okay, it's something about 2.5%, which I really don't understand, but they're going to tell you 2.5% increase based on a certain level, so the price could go up due to inflation. So again, In the end, if inflation increases the next year or two, then you will have an increase in your price as well at Cruise on Land, for instance. Primavera, they also have not raised prices on anybody as far as I know. Primavera 2, 3, 4. Nobody has price increases that I know of. So that is another thing that you need to double check your contracts and make sure. If you do not check your contracts, you could be like Christopher or Epic, where there's nothing stated. It says they can increase the price and they got a whopping 25, 30, 35% in some cases. $60,000 condos ends up being $90,000, $95,000. All right. So this is why we always said have an attorney if you are not familiar with what you need to look for, because attorneys in the DR also help with title. So that's the other thing as well. So all I wanted to do was point this out today because you have to be vigilant. All right. You get great deals when you buy early. So if you want to purchase some pre-construction properties, no qualifying, no credit check, no barriers to entry, then search the channel. Look for Dominican Republic. Look for Vista Cana. Look for Larimar. Look for Sabana even. Look for Miami even. That's right. Even Miami has pre-construction properties, as so does every major city, even in Asia. Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, Africa, Spain, Italy, everybody has pre-construction because you don't need to qualify when the things aren't built yet. And you're making payments towards your down payment, which banks love. They can see a track record of you paying on time. So again, ladies and gentlemen, if anybody has any questions, you can always make comments down below or hit me up at eric@stopstrugglingnow.com or support@stopstrugglingnow.com. Either one will get to me. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. And please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. And I know it's hard out here, and that's why we have to always bring the good and the bad. Things have changed over the last 2 or 3 years. Ever since the pandemic occurred, people got contracts changed, updated, or there were missing things in their contract. There's a lady who purchased at Ziba, which I forgot to mention. 15% increase, I believe it was, for them. But in her contract, she had it where she had to pay up to 5%. A big difference. She's going to have to pay $7,500 extra for her unit if she wants to buy it. Other people are going to have to pay 20 some $1,000 extra just because that person had an attorney, a lawyer, who said, hey, hold on, we're not agreeing to this up to 15%. So can you change this to up to 5%? We'll agree with that if you want to sell this unit. And they agreed to the 5%. So she saved herself $15,000 to $20,000 because she had an attorney that she might have paid less than $2,000 for. See what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? You got to pay attention, and that's why I have to present this just in case we have new people here who's seeing some videos saying, hey, you know what? I want to get me some projects and property over there in the DR or in Miami or in the Philippines or wherever in Mexico. Just keep that in your head. All right? You can negotiate all your contracts, by the way. So with all that said, keep your head up, keep moving, and I'm out.